Hello, my name is Samuel Bentheim, and this is my implementation of Asteroids done in 3D. So one of the key features I did in Asteroids 3D was first of all making the sprites 3D. I used a couple of sprites from Unity Store just for the asteroids and for the spaceship. And then one of the other twists that I had was instead of having a joystick, which you had in the original like Asteroids um, arcade game, I'm actually using the mouse. And so the rockets or the spaceship won't actually have a propulsion sort of system. It actually just mostly follows the mouse. And then with shooting, it's the left mouse button. And then also you can steer the spaceship with the mouse. So we'll just load in here. Right away, we see our cool little spaceship. It's a rendered 3D sprite, and then it follows the mouse. So if you keep the mouse within local distance of the spaceship, it actually will stay relatively close to it, and you can rotate the spaceship based on where the mouse is. And then if you move it far enough away, the spaceship will actually follow to where the mouse is. So that's how you move the spaceship through the asteroids. So the asteroids game itself follows exactly how the original asteroids does, with the bigger ones splitting into smaller ones, and the small ones splitting into even more smaller ones, and those ones also just being destroyed. Right in the top left here, you see we have our score, which actually also follows the original Asteroids game, with the bigger ones being worth 25 points, the medium being 50, and the smaller ones being 100. And then right here, the triple A is actually also a reminiscent part of the original Asteroids game. That symbols your life points, or how many lives you still have left. There's a lot of asteroids here, so I'm probably going to die here in a second explaining this, but the A's are the number of lives you have left. If you get hit by an asteroid, you actually lose an A, and if you lose all three, you lose the game. Now, the special twist I have is these little red balls right here. There are little red power-ups. So if you actually shoot one of these balls, you're given a power-up where you can shoot 3 lasers instead of 1, which helps a lot in surviving. So right after you die, you're given your score that you got. That was a pretty low score for me, and you can return back to the main menu to play. I'll just play through a quick round of actually trying this time, but as the power-ups are rarer than the asteroids, so they will spawn a lot less common, and they only last for around 3 or 4 seconds, so you do have to use them wisely when you get it. The asteroids themselves have the smaller ones have a greater speed, the bigger ones are much slower, and then the medium ones are kind of in between the smaller ones and the big ones with speed. And this is the game of Asteroids. The player has a restricted time for shooting, so they can't just spam shoot to survive. They have a little cooldown on their shots, so they have to kind of plan out when they're going to shoot accordingly. And when they shoot an asteroid, the smaller asteroids actually come out with a little bit of a greater velocity because of the so-called explosion of the asteroid. And so they'll be a little bit more dangerous when you shoot the asteroids. And now I've lost 2 lives already, so now I'm just going to try to survive a little bit longer. The asteroids spawn at random, and they have a certain spawning time frame, so then they just kind of like spawn at random, and then also a limited number of them can spawn at a time, or not at a time, per like second or per frame of actually. Sorry, I'm blanking here. How many of them can spawn per like frame and per second? And so then also here I have added in a kind of interesting feature. I originally had the screen freeze when you died, but after playing around a little bit, I actually had it continue moving because then it follows more into the lore of asteroids of that once the player actually dies, the asteroids keep moving around the game. So yeah, it's actually kind of a cool like background screen as you right after you died. And then you can go back to the main menu and play again. So that's my version of Asteroids 3D.